All right.
All right.
Namaste, Keith Brunson, right?
Brunson.
Brunson.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to my show, Point to Point with Shiv Vadlamudi.
Thank you for
Welcome
having
to
me.
our channel, Prime9 TV.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you coming down here. So we'll talk about, I know you're a pilot
Yes,
by
sir.
profession. So it's very, very interesting. Actually, it is one of my very, very passionate and I'm very interested in to become a pilot. That didn't happen for various reasons, but I'm still very, passionate about pilot. So I want to know, and I want to help my viewers also understand what a pilot means, right? What does he do, like day in, day out jobs?
Sure.
Whenever we go to airports, right, we do see pilots in the dress, and they're walking straight,
Yeah.
right? What do you call, like long face or whatever, right?
I know what you're talking about.
Right.
Head and shoulders up. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they're like walking straight, and people respect, and including the TSA gives them a special, and then you all have flight attendants around you.
Correct. Well, some do. Yeah, some do. But I fly a different kind of flying. But yes,
okay. But you're a pilot, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you probably did that. We'll get there. But I'm just telling you, as a common man, what is my feeling when I see a pilot at the airport? I'm like, what the? Man, that guy is living his dream, man. Living my dream, man. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So having said all that, let's talk about your, how did you become a pilot?
So pilots, it's a unique profession. We all have different ways of getting there. Some people go to the military and do their time in the military and then fly commercially. Others do what's called the civilian route, and there's many routes in the civilian world. So what I did was probably even a longer route. So I, like yourself, since I was a kid, all I ever wanted to do was fly airplanes. I'd look up in the air and I'd see airplanes, and I just marveled by these machines that fly. So I put myself through college, and this is kind of in a nutshell how I got this done. Is I went through school, regular school here in Texas. Went to a state university, graduated, and I was still paying off my student loans for that college. We didn't have aviation there, so I had to figure out another way to do it. It was just
what degree did you do?
I got a business management degree.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so I came out with that, took my first job out of college, and I said, you know what? I really want to fly, but I just don't have the money. I'll just go in the business world and I'll forget about flying. Well, for anyone who wants to fly, you never forget about it. It's something you always want to do. So I worked about 6 months. I said, I can't do this for a living. I got to figure a way to fly airplanes. And so when I was in college, I was a baggage handler for Delta Airlines out here.
Oh, okay. So as a business administration degree, you were a baggage handler
during the summers.
Oh, during the summers.
Yeah, so I would come home. And, Delta at the time had a work program for college students to go relieve their full-time people to go take their summer vacations. So I loved it. I'm like, wow, I'm around airplanes. I'm just loving it. So so anyway, I finished. I resigned for that job out of college.
How long did you do that?
Only about 8 months.
Oh, okay.
And I just said, I can't do this anymore. I got to figure a way to get back to airplanes. And so,
well, did you get how much did you get paid? If I may ask?
In that job,
yeah.
Well, this was back in like '96, so I think I was making maybe like $40,000-$50,000 a year.
Well, that's not bad
in the business world. Yeah, for those.
Well, I mean, you're talking 96.
Yeah,
40,000 is not bad at all.
Yeah, and
96, it was equivalent to an IT programmer job.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess I was doing well. But
you didn't realize that's all.
No, but I was cheap, so I was always saving my money. So
that's a different story.
Yeah. So long story short is I resigned from that job. I came back to work as a baggage handler just to get my feet back on the ground in Dallas. And I said, how am I going to do this? I was still paying off student loans. And I said, you know what? My dad and I worked on cars when I was a kid. I said, if I can't one day fly, for some reason, if I can't get that route to work, I'm going to go back and get my maintenance licenses to work on airplanes. And so I could afford to do.
Oh, okay.
So at night, I got my licenses to work on the engines and basically the structure of the airplane, and I transitioned to a mechanic position at Delta.
So you didn't have to really go through a training program for the engine.
I did, yeah. It was
maintenance?
school. It was a night school I had to go to.
Oh,
yeah.
you did go to night school to learn the engine maintenance.
Engine and what we call airframe. So it's
Airframe. Okay.
Yeah, it was everything but the engine. So I got those done in about a year, and so I moved from baggage handler to mechanic.
Oh, okay.
And so I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, where the only jobs, because Delta is based in Atlanta. So did that, and I started making pretty decent money as a mechanic, working night shift. And I said, I told my wife, I said.
So by then you were already married?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'd gotten married after about 2 months of being in Atlanta. I met her in my first job out of college in Denver, Colorado. We just met and.
Is she from Colorado?
No, she's from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So,
okay. But you guys met in Colorado?
We did.
Oh, wow.
I know. It's
interesting.
We lived in Dallas the whole time, never knew each other, and just God brought us together.
Good. Yeah.
So off we went to Atlanta, and so I'm working as a mechanic, and I told my wife one night, I said, look, I want to fly airplanes. I said, this is the time to do it before we have kids. Let's go. And so she, being the wonderful woman that she is, she goes, okay, I'll support you in doing that. She could see the long-term goal. And so I worked night shift as a mechanic, and then I flew in the daytime, getting my private license, my instrument, and all the ratings that I would need. And so I got everything up just short of what's called a flight instructor rating.
Oh, okay.
So when you're a student pilot in the civilian world, you get your ratings and you get your flight instructor rating, and you would go back and start instructing new people to fly. To build your hours. So
that way you get some hours under your belt. Okay.
But I got to that point, I got my commercial license, and I told my wife, I said, you know what? I've got all this years of working on airplanes. There's got to be a way I can use that skill and go find a job with that skill and learn how to fly, because I just didn't want to flight instruct. It meant more ratings and more time. And by the grace of God, I met a gentleman in Atlanta, Georgia through my dad. My dad knew somebody in Dallas who knew him. And he was looking exactly for a mechanic pilot to fly their corporate jets. And I had very little experience. All I had was my ratings. I didn't have any real flight time, but that's what he wanted. He wanted someone who did not have any bad flying habits, who hadn't been flying for years. And he said, you fix my corporate jet and I'll teach you how to fly jet airplanes.
Oh, okay.
And I said, sold. And so I left my job at Delta, flew for him for a couple of years, and then my wife and I moved back to Dallas-Fort Worth, where we're from. Okay. And I got hired here in Dallas.
Okay. Can I stop you, Keith?
Yeah.
So the corporate jet, that's an interesting thing I want to know more about.
Sure.
So he hired you as a mechanic and a pilot?
Correct. So I would fly the plane and then do
corporate jet. Like, how big was the jet?
I think we could seat about 8 people on that jet.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And you can't name the corporation now, or it's?
It was a private individual.
Oh, it was a private.
It wasn't like a big company.
So. Oh, okay. So you were with a big guy.
Yeah. Well, you could call him a big guy, I guess, but no, it wasn't a big corporation. But he was in the building business. So
hey, he's got a jet.
He's got a jet, and I'm learning how to fly it. So yeah, I was very grateful for that. So
that's good. That's good. Okay.
Yeah, to be a low time pilot and to go right into flying a jet is a big deal. So
okay, good.
So I flew it, and then on the days off that we weren't flying, I did the routine maintenance on the airplane.
Okay.
Well. So I worked for him in 2 capacities.
Good. So did the pay go up then?
It did a little bit. Yeah, it was a little better than I was when I was a mechanic. So but my wife was working too. She's a nurse. So. Beautiful. She always, her phrase is, I'm a nurse with a purse, because nurses do okay.
Well. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I might need to get into your purse every once in a while to make things happen.
I'll be honest, I do that all the time with my wife. So
She watches you. Yeah. So that was a great deal. And so we decided to move back to Dallas because my parents were here. So I left that job, and I flew for a regional airline here out of Dallas.
Oh, okay. So as a pilot.
Yeah.
That's a commercial.
Yeah, commercial. Yeah.
Okay.
I did.
So I was the beginning of the interview. I was saying the pilot who has the attendants, flight attendant, beautiful flight attendants around.
Oh yeah, they were everywhere. They were all over the place.
Right?
No, I'm kidding. I can't say that that's what I experienced, but yeah, I was flying people.
I know
around
you're
like-
being very careful because your wife is going to watch this interview, and you don't want to get in trouble, huh?
Well, she always said, she goes, you've lost your skills. She goes, I'm not worried about you. We've been married for 20 years. She goes,
My God.
you don't have any skills, so I'm not worried about you at all.
So I don't know if that's like a wife thing that, every wife says. I mean, most of wife says. My wife also says the same thing.
Does she?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, man. You're not going to go anywhere. I'm not worried. Go
Yeah.
do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, you've lost that edge. So yeah,
Yeah.
you've been married too long to me. So it's like, you know what? You're right.
Interesting. Okay, good. So you were into that regional airport, regional airlines. You started flying.
Correct. Yeah, I did that for 10 years.
Wow. So what? How did you go? And like so was there an interview for you to get in?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I interviewed to get that job. It was back in 07.
So what normally goes in an interview with as a pilot?
So, a lot of people think, well, they want to know your technical abilities. What do you know about airplanes? And while that's true, a lot of it is, what is your personality? They really ask you scenario-based things on how you handle different situations as a human being.
Oh.
They ask questions about your family, your school life. They want to know that, hey, this person we're hiring might be great at doing this, flying airplanes, but can he do what you and I are doing? Can he be an effective crew member in a crew situation? They don't want to just hire machines, because back in the day, years ago, that might have been what they were looking for. Like, how well does this person fly the plane? But these days, it's, who is this person I'm hiring? Who's the person behind, what you see physically?
Okay.
So
that's very, very interesting.
Yeah, because
is that because now you have better way or semi-automatic or automatic way of flying the planes? Is that why it is?
It's more so because the way that the crews interact now, we call it CRM. It's called Crew Resource Management. It's how well can these two come together when there are problems that arise. Versus years ago, it was very autocratic, authoritarian. Like, the captain makes the decision. You, as the first officer, you can give me your advice or what you think, but I'm ultimately the one who makes the decision, and I'm the authority figure. Now it's more of a collaborative. Yeah.
Yeah. But you still, the captain gets the final decision, final say, right?
Correct.
And if captain, on several occasions I've seen, if captain decides that this flight is not flying, it's not flying.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? You still have that, isn't it?
Yeah, and you can delay
if I don't like a gentleman in sitting in the passenger seat and I say out, then he's out, isn't it?
Because once the captain steps aboard the plane, that technically becomes, quote unquote, his aircraft. He has the authority and basically the command of the entire aircraft from nose to tail. So you can delay a flight. You can do. I did that one time as a captain. I delayed a flight because it was so hot in the airplane before the passengers boarded. I told the gate agent, I'm not putting a soul in that airplane because it is so hot in that plane, and we took a long delay until we got it cooled down. So yeah, you're in charge of the whole show. So so when they're hiring people, that's what they're looking for.
That's what they're looking for.
A lot. I mean, in addition to the technical skills, and they know your technical skills just from, they can pull your records up of all of your training. And it's like, wow, he's got a clean training record. This guy's a good pilot or gal. And
how would they pull the report out of the training?
So, if an airline, let's say like American Airlines is looking to hire you to fly, and you're at, some corporate operation or another regional airline, that's all public records. I believe it's called the PRIA Act, Public Records Information Act. And so the airlines can pull that.
I see.
And you, as a new applicant, you have to list on there, hey, on the application, have you ever failed a check ride? Any kind of training problems at all? So they know the product that they're getting on paper, but now in an interview, who is this person? So they put a lot of emphasis on personal skills, communications, that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Because you can be in the airplane with with another crew person many hours a day. You know,
Oh
you want to
yeah,
make sure that you're
right.
you're a good egg.
You don't
know?
want to end up in fist fight and then flight goes down.
That's right. Yeah, or
Right.
anything, or just be just like a robotic person. They want to know
Correct.
how your communication skills.
Human is what they're looking. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That reminds me of this. We'll continue your journey.
Sure.
Understand your journey, Keith. While I have another question.
Yeah.
So with I'm probably jumping the gun, but since you talked about robot, so I have a question in my mind. A lot of people nowadays with this AI coming up, and the airplanes have become autopilots, and autopilots are in place right now. Although you guys sit in the pilot seat,
Yeah.
all that stuff, and the technology growing so fast with supercomputers and whatnot, right? You ever see that a plane will fly by itself into the sky?
I don't know if we'll get to that point of a plane flying autonomously without a human on board. I could see in the future losing one pilot, although my industry, we're not in favor of that. But with AI coming along, I think there's a general push to get down to one pilot in the cockpit. So as far as being with no human on board at all, I'd be very hard to foresee that. That's just me personally. So
okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
You still have to have somebody pulling switches and doing things. And if something happens with that, you got to have a human who can override, and take control.
Right.
So because the planes that we fly now, for instance, if you're flying along and you hit some really turbulent weather and the autopilot is on, the autopilot will kick off and say, "I can't handle this. I need human hands on the yoke to take over the airplane." So I don't foresee it personally. Not having somebody up there.
Never.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Good,
yeah.
Yeah. There is a perception, like a lot of people do think, So your first question earlier, right? Because AI, artificial intelligence, all these things are coming up.
Yeah.
What is happening to IT jobs, right? That's similar. Let's go back to your 10-year journey in the regional airline in Dallas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how was it like? Did you had any fun experience in this to 10 years?
I'll tell you, it's when you're talking about as a layperson trying to figure out what is all this airline flying about. So regional flying is where you really it's where you cut your teeth. That's where you really get a lot of experience because of the regional flying. For instance, if you take Dallas Fort Worth or Chicago or any other major hub, historically all of those flights that come from the smaller cities, so like Dallas might serve. It might serve Alexandria, Louisiana, or Lafayette, Louisiana, Lubbock, Amarillo. All those smaller routes, regional planes are coming in and out of there constantly all day long. So you're flying 4 and 5 legs a day. That's what I was doing, and so your experience level ramps up really fast.
I see.
Because you're flying so much. So it was a lot of flying. And when I started flying before the FAA changed the flight rules, it used to be you needed to have 8 hours of rest from the time the plane got to the gate at night to when you left the next morning. Well, that put quite a load on you because if you got in at 10 o'clock at night, the clock starting, you can technically leave at 6 a.m. the next morning.
That's actually 8 hours.
That's 8 hours. So well, guess what? You got to get out of the plane, get to the hotel, kind of wind down, get yourself shut down. And by the time you're shut down, it might be midnight. And now you're getting up at 4:30 for a 6 a.m. departure. So in those years from 07 till about 13 or 14, that's in the years before that, it was 8 hours. And so it was tough, but I was young and
you could handle it.
I could handle it, but it didn't mean it was safe,
Right.
But the rules changed. But that's the lifestyle of a regional pilot. It's a lot of legs a day.
So you're saying 8 hours, and then you get a break of how many hours?
Well, it's 8 hours. As you finish up at night, you pull into the gate at 10 o'clock at night. You have 8 hours for the next flight to go.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you could technically leave at 6 a.m. the next morning, and that's your 8 hours. And so that made it tough. But the rules, they changed after about 2010, I think, 2011, because they had a crash up in, I think it was Albany or Buffalo, New York with a regional plane, and they figured out that the crew was working on minimal sleep. And so that's unfortunately, with the rules and the environment, it takes a disaster like that to change the rules with loss of life.
Right.
And it made a massive change.
That's when people react. Otherwise, people won't react, right?
Absolutely.
And that's one of the, yeah.
And it changed the rules. So that all changed, and now rest requirements aren't nearly as I guess demanding. We have more time to do that. So
so it's more than 8 hours now.
yeah,
the gap. Okay,
it is. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
So regional flying is it's tough. That's where young people, new pilots get their experience. Really fast.
You never thought about going and flying the international flights?
It's the airline that I'm flying for now. I could definitely do that, but that's a lot of long haul flying where you're sitting for hours on end, and I kind of prefer the 2 to 3 hour flights where you're actually flying more. So it's just not something I'm really interested in right now. But we do fly down to South Americans in Mexico and Canada. But as far as the long haul, like Dallas to Dubai or wherever,
right.
I think I'm okay. I don't want to be in an airplane that long. I love airplanes, but not for that long.
Yeah, but if I were a pilot, then that would be my thing.
You would like that?
Oh yeah, I would.
To see the world.
Yeah, I like traveling for some reason. It's weird. I like traveling.
Yeah.
I like flight traveling.
Yeah. See different things.
See different things, and I don't know, man. Some reason, if I sit on an airplane, mostly I'm buying economy ticket, right?
So you don't travel first class wherever you go?
Oh yeah. Right.
It's so cheap. It's so cheap.
I know. Yeah, I know. But I will sit in the plane. I will most likely just get up once, and then
on a long haul flight.
That's it.
Wow, that's impressive, man.
Yeah, I mean, I do that. I don't know how, I just do it.
I'd have to get up more than once, man.
So that reminds me, you're like 6'4", right?
Yeah.
So is the cockpit okay for the people like tall people like you?
Yeah, the plane I'm flying, I fly a 767, and so it's a what we call a wide body airplane. So yeah, there's plenty of room to maneuver. I can actually stand totally up in that cockpit. Now the regional jet I was flying before, no, it was pretty.
You had to
it was tight. Yeah, for someone tall, it was tight. Yeah.
So now you're flying 767, Boeing 767.
Yeah.
The Boeing 767, which actually Air India is.
That was a Boeing as well, but that's a 787.
787. Oh, okay, but this is 767.
Still big airplanes. They're both.
Oh, okay. So both are similar.
The 7.8's a little larger. Yeah,
oh,
okay. It's got longer range than the 7.6, but they're both wide body international airplanes. We fly domestic on ours, but they can both go international. Especially the 787, it can go a long way.
Okay. Yeah. Now, here is why I'm going there. As soon as I heard 767, right? Because Air India 787, there was a when like 2-3 weeks ago, I think. Right?
Yeah, within the last month.
Last month, right?
Yeah.
A great disaster, right? And
awful.
Everybody died except one.
Except one.
Yeah, seat number 13?
11A.
11A. Oh, sorry, 11A.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that also.
Sure.
But then you heard probably the news, right? All the speculations people made, how it would have happened, why happened, and whatnot. Finally, I don't know how the news came out that the fuel valve was shut off.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So, in my mind, is it like that easy to shut off a fuel valve?
It's not. First, before I even go on, I mean, my thoughts and prayers are still with all those folks who lost their lives. I mean, cockpit crew included, and I that's the first thing I think of, and I talk about these things, and I'm not one to speculate because there's so much data to gather, and I just think it can be disrespectful when people just start throwing stuff out there until we know. We've got. I don't know what the name of the India Investigative Board is, but for the United States, it's the NTSB, National Travel Safety Board, NTSB, Boeing, and General Electric. They're all involved, plus the India as well. You got 4 different entities looking into it, so it's a lot of information to gather. But back to your question, those fuel switches, we call them fuel shut-off switches. they're spring loaded down. So when you first start the sequence, those switches are in the cutoff position. So that's where they start. And then to actually bring fuel onto the airplane, it's spring loaded down. So you have to pull up and over, basically we call it a gate, and put it in position. And then the spring catches it again and puts tension on that switch.
I see. So it doesn't fall off accidentally.
You can do this all day long to it, and it's not going to move because you physically have to pull it off of that, pull the spring tension off over the gate and down to the next position. So it is not easy to do.
So unless otherwise it is intentionally done something like that. So my thought was, this is exactly what I was thinking, like how can something just accidentally, you can't switch anything in the plane. You should not be able to switch anything in the plane accidentally.
No.
Right?
I mean,
that's what I was thinking.
Not so something as critical as that.
Right.
No.
So the engine, the fuel valve shut off. The comment which came out, that's, you think that is not, it's impossible
to flip those switches without intentionally grabbing a hold of it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. You have to actually manually grab those things and pull the tension off and drop it into the position.
Okay.
So when you first saw that airplane, the first thing you saw was it obviously careening to the ground. But then as later videos came out, you saw what's called a rat. Have you heard that term? A rat that deployed?
Rat? No.
Rat means ram air turbine. And so that is underneath the body of the 7.6, the 7.5, the 777. I don't know if the 777 has it, but the 787 too. It's just behind the right wheel well, and it stays covered. And what it is if that airplane has a dual engine failure where both engines failed, which in this case, if they had pulled it into the cutoff position, the plane's thinking, oh my gosh, both engines have failed, it automatically drops that rat, and it's like a spinning propeller. And what it does is, in the wind, it will provide hydraulic pressure to the controls.
So that control,
so you can get very minimal control of the airplane. So that's what people thinking is like, my goodness, that rat got deployed, both of the engines failed, and people were thinking, was it fuel starvation, fuel contamination? Did they ingest birds in both engines and it fouled out both engines? So until, again, this comes down to getting the data. When the flight data recorder was recovered, there's two boxes. There's what you call a cockpit voice recorder, which records the voices, and then the flight data recorder. And that records every parameter of the airplane, every switch position, it looks at everything that's going on in that plane. And they figured out just this week, my goodness, those fuel cutoff switches were placed in the off position, and that's why the rat deployed, because it thought, wow, dual engine failure, holy cow.
So it wouldn't have happened before the flight took off.
No.
Because flight can't take off with that being shut off.
You got to have fuel to the engines, 100%. So
right. So it was on when it took off then.
It had to have been. There's no way. I mean, unless they grabbed it right as they rotated, I don't know. But yes, to apply power to the airplane and go down the runway, you absolutely have to have them in the run position. 100%.
Okay. So one aspect of maybe it was never turned on is out of the equation.
100%.
Out of the question.
You got to have it in the run position.
There's no speculation on that, though.
No, they had to be.
It has to be on.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was on. It took off.
Yeah.
And I think within like a minute or so, right? All this accident happened after it took off, like within a minute.
It was below 600 feet. I know that. But yes, absolutely within a minute.
Right.
If getting airborne.
So within this minute, something happened. We just don't know. Like you just said, we don't want to speculate, but something just happened, and that got turned.
They from what I heard today, because I just saw something on today, it was they were shut off. And I believe it was the captain. He was the first officer was flying. They were manipulating the controls. The captain was the one what we call the PF or the PM, the pilot monitoring, the ones that runs the radios, who will pull the gear up, and they switch roles every leg. But I believe as the first officer was flying, he said, like, why did you do that, or why did you turn the switches off, or something was uttered. And I don't know. I don't want to speculate, but We do know that they were moved to the cutoff position, but they were put back to the run as well to try to get the engines to spool back up again. And that's what the flight data recorder revealed.
But that did not help.
It didn't help it. By that point, once the engines have spooled down, it takes a while for them to spool back up again, and right by that time they're already heading towards the ground. So
there was short of a time to basically on off and take like they pull the what do you call it, the thrust up so that the flight stays up.
Correct.
If it was up like 30 feet thousand, for example, say somebody turns it off, you're okay with it?
You can recover that, no problem.
Oh, you can recover because
you've got 30,000
it's not okay,
feet of
but
altitude.
you can still recover.
And there is one procedure that requires you to take those cutoff switches from run to cutoff, and that is a dual engine failure. So if you're scooting along at 30,000 feet and for whatever reason, this is so rare, you lost both engines. They just went, they shut down. Part of the procedure is they're in the run position is you take them to cutoff, back to run, and that sends I don't know exactly what goes on behind the scenes, but it resets the logic in the start sequence of the airplane to be like, oh, we need to get going again, and it'll respool the engines back up. So that's the only time that to my knowledge, in our procedures, is you go cut off back to run, is if both engines fail. Now, if it's so rare, I mean, I don't know of any dual engine failure. I'm sure there are out there where you've had two engines fail on takeoff like that, unless you ingest just in a crazy, look at Sully, the Miracle on the Hudson. They did have a dual engine failure, and they caught it like they were down low as well, and birds got ingested in the engines, and they were still making power, not a whole lot. But eventually, the engines failed, and they knew that they tried to restart the engines, but they were so damaged from the bird they just landed on the Hudson. So, we don't know what happened. I think again, I don't know what the findings are so far, but it sounded like both of those engines, as they took off, were making power. They were healthy. They were doing what they should have been doing. So if they had a dual engine failure, your instant think is, off and on. Let's try to get these things going. But to my knowledge, I think both engines were still running. So, yeah.
So, Keith, it happened like 3 weeks. I can't remember. I can't recall the date. I mean,
it was in June sometime.
Yeah. All information right now I have is around the Kerr County, because I visited that yesterday with my small pea brain. That's what I remember. But it's very, of course, and I greatly appreciate the way when we started talking about the Air India mishap, you said, all your prayers to the passengers who lost their lives. Yeah. I should have done that too, but I did not, which I apologize to my viewers and to you. And so things like this, when this happens, do you guys really get emotional because you are a pilot?
When we see it happen to other crews? Sure. Yeah.
So does it like shake your grounds, and you guys get like emotional, scared? Does it happen like that?
I mean, I wouldn't say scared to go out and fly tomorrow, but absolutely, it affects you emotionally when you see this horrific loss of life like that. The crew included, the passengers. Absolutely, yeah. That's our business, is moving people around, and you see the loss.
So everybody, whoever are there, like people us, right? Yeah, of course, flight went down, people died, which is really sad. But then we just move on, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, everybody moves on. But I'm just asking, how does a pilot feel when things like that happen? Does it really you guys like take it to heart? What runs through your mind?
Just how could this be, and what happened? Again, we don't know until all the data is collected, and then how do you prevent it from happening in the future? Because right now, we just don't know enough information on this Air India. We only know what little bits of the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder tell us. But for instance, like Sully, Miracle on the Hudson, clearly we know that they pulled in a boatload of birds and they landed safely on the Hudson River. And you're thinking, okay, how could you prevent that from happening in the future? What do you got to do to prevent the birds from flying in the engines? You start thinking about, how do we prevent this from happening again? So I think you go from mourning to prevention. You know, you mourn, you get over it, and you think, okay, what would I do in this situation? That's probably what you're getting at is, okay, what would I do if I was in this situation? And we do as pilots, like, what would I have done different, you know, to mitigate the risks and all. So, but on the emotional level, yeah, it hurts. I mean, no matter whose loss of life it is, especially when everyone but one person died in that airplane. That is a miracle in itself. That's the other thing.
So I want to come back to that 11A seat you said, right? What is that?
Yes. I think it was 11A. Yeah.
11A, right? Yeah, we'll come to that. But before we take a break, one final question I wanted to ask is, not final question is, again, we talked about AI, we talked about technology, we talked about a lot of things.
Yeah.
You probably saw the transformation of the airlines, the cockpit, and the way you guys operate, the automation and whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
What in the world does take so long?
Become a pilot?
No, not to become a pilot. The information, it almost happened 3 to 4 weeks ago. We still don't have a clear information. Why?
Yeah, like why do we not have a full dissemination of the cockpit voice recorder or the flight data recorder?
Right. Why not? I mean, why, whatever you just said, the black box or the recorder and whatever, right?
Yeah.
Why is it not available? Why is it not outside the plane?
Oh, you mean as far as outside of an investigation, why it doesn't transmit to us? We should be able to get that information on our own?
No. I'm not talking about getting the information on our own. What I'm saying is, why, simple question, why is it still taking so long
for them to put the information out?
Yeah. What is holding you guys? You don't have it? Or you're not telling us the information?
I think a lot of us would like to know that. You know, maybe it's when you have, 4 different entities, known entities that are looking at it. Maybe they're all trying to make sure they're all on the same page. I don't know. And a lot of people.
So you're saying they do have the information exactly as to what has happened?
I would hope so after this point. I would think they would be able to extrapolate all that data from the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder and be able to put it out there. So beyond that, I honestly don't know.
But, I mean, come on, man. I mean, people are pulling the information from under the sea.
Yeah.
Right?
I know.
Like no man's business.
Yeah.
And the flight went down. It's like 4 weeks now. And we are still like leaving, sending, little bits and pieces of information and leaving it for speculations and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's not helping.
No, it's not. I don't know if it's out of respect for the families or what, but when you've got the NTSB and, again, whatever the entity from the country of India, their NTSB,
what it is.
2 big organizations, and then you've got the manufacturer, Boeing and GE involved as well. Those are some pretty heavy hitters, and
you do lots of maintenance and whatnot.
Yeah, they're looking at all the maintenance backgrounds on the airplane. Those engines were fairly new. I think they've been put on the airplane within the past maybe year and a half or so. So healthy engines. So, but as far as the hard data out of the boxes, I honestly don't know. A lot of people are scratching their heads as to why don't we have that information out in the public already. It took them this long just to get this little bit out.
Just one piece of information.
One piece of information. So I don't know if it's political. I honestly don't know. It's a good question. Wish I had the answer.
So outside world, say for example, that's India part, right? If it was outside, say for example, United States, we would still have the same kind of situation, or do you think the information would come out?
I think it probably would come out a little quicker, maybe because there's not another country involved. It's a U.S. product, U.S. If it was a U.S. airline, maybe, U.S. Boeing, GE, maybe it would be a little quicker.
A little quicker, and you would have all the information available.
Quite possibly, very possible.